Hi there. I want to ask you a honest question, or I want you to think about this carefully and let me know what you think. I am guessing that you, just like me, have been using ChatGPT and Copilot and Claude and all these different LLMs to help us do our user stories and our requirements and our research a lot faster, right? So you've been producing a lot of output and everything seems a lot easier. But there's something that I've discovered about myself, and I'm wondering if you also feel this. And that is that I almost don't have to think that hard anymore to get the results that's required. Now, I don't really like that because I started to feel almost like AI is taking my critical thinking away from me. And that's what prompted this question. And I'm curious to know, have you started to feel as if some of the harder thinking can easily be outsourced to AI? Maybe not everything, or definitely not everything, but there's an element to that. So I think AI is amazing and it's definitely here to stay. But I do think that there is a bit of a silent threat, not so much in AI taking our jobs as business analysts, but rather us allowing AI to make our critical thinking muscle weaker. So that's what I realized, is that it's going to be super important to stay valuable, is to make sure that you don't stop thinking hard, that you don't stop asking all those questions that critically assesses the output that AI gives you. But how do you do that? How do you actually make sure that you are not outsourcing your own brain to AI completely? And then just like if you don't go to the gym or you don't do exercise, that muscle gets atrophy. And this is what will happen to us if we don't become really aware of it now. And I certainly started to think, gee, am I thinking, or is the AI thinking? What exactly am I contributing? So there's a lot to unpack, and I won't unpack it all here today. I just briefly wanted to ask you if you also experience this slight kind of awareness of, hey, I'm not always thinking as hard as I can be. Plus, maybe have you outsourced some of the thinking to AI and not even applied any critical thinking to whatever outputs there are? So I'm just checking in with you really to see what your experience is. But I also want to share with you 3 steps that you can take to make sure that you do stay in charge of this conversation that you have with AI, your colleague who's now helping you work faster. And that is to do the following 3 things. Step 1, before you do your prompting and asking AI to do a certain task for you, I really recommend that you think very critically about what it is you're asking. So what specifically do you want as output? What considerations does the AI have to consider? What background information does the AI require in order to be able to get the context right, or at least close to right, and so on. So really get good at your prompting. Step 2, when you get the output, don't just accept it as fact. Start to apply critical thinking. Ask the AI, what are the assumptions you've made? What are the parts that the stakeholders are going to quiz me on? What are the gaps in this information that you would like to suggest a few things for? And just ask some critical questions in your context and in your scenario to the AI to make sure that the quality of that output is as good as possible. And then finally, own the output, which means you don't just take the output and pass it off as your own work. You actually study the output. You go through the output in detail and critically think about it. So make sure that what you are proposing or what you are putting your name on is actually something that you're 100% across, and you've checked the assumptions, you've kind of made all those dots link to each other that the AI may not have been able to. You have added the relevant context, you've raised additional questions, and you've just kept on improving and improving to really deliver high quality work. So that is the 3 steps for today that I'd like you to just think about doing when you use AI. Also become more aware and think about, how am I thinking differently now? What is AI making me not think about anymore? And what can I replace that thought with? What critical thinking what part of this muscle should I practice? Because we want to remain sharp and we want to remain value-adding business analysts. And the future is going to mean you have to work fast, but you also have to be able to apply your critical thinking to help steer decisions in projects and in the organization. So I hope this resonates with you, and I hope you've already started thinking about this, because it's really important for us to keep those thinking caps on in the best possible way. Feel free to have a look at my BA Society. It's the Next Gen BA Society, which is a membership where we get together every month. You get unlimited IOBA courses from this membership, so you can keep those core BA skills really sharp and relevant, whilst also having really important conversations like this. Have a look at it. It would be great to have you. But otherwise, I'll see you again soon to talk about other ways that we should be applying ourselves as business analysts to remain relevant and highly productive, and definitely superb at critical thinking. Talk to you soon.